Yep.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Women Have Needs Too. Thank you for joining us today. Women have needs too. Right now, I need to boost my immunity. And we're here with Dr. Michelle Trias with My NaturoWellness. Thank you, Dr. Michelle, for being with us again today. We always cover so many wonderful, exciting new things. And we're not going to actually be talking about anything new today, but we're going to talk about what we have going on in the world right now with the viruses and colds and flus and everything that goes around, comes around kind of thing. I want to talk to you today about boosting our immunity because right now we need this more than ever. Do you agree?
Absolutely. I love the topic about immunity and how to boost your immune system. You know, I love to talk about it.
Yeah, I like to get digging deep into it. So let's talk about what we can do to help ourselves, help our body, help us from catching stuff that we don't necessarily want to catch. And we're not going to put a name to anything because there's different things out there.
Exactly. I mean, last week I was dealing with colds in my house, sore throats and runny noses, good old fashioned cold.
You mean somebody had a cold?
It was something else, but it was just a cold. You know, we still get colds, we still get the flu. It's still out there, even though there's other things out there that we don't talk about, but we still catch things. We always got sick and we will continue to get sick. So I think it's really great to talk about this in more detail.
All right. So people are worried about catching things, but what are we doing on a daily basis from the time our feet hit the floor in the morning, when we wake up, to the time we go to bed at night? What are we doing to help our body with its natural immune system, right? Because there's things that we put into our body that will help break down our immunity so we can't fight things that come our way.
Yes. So
should we talk about those things too?
What would you say, Linda?
Should we talk about those things too?
Yes, I want to talk about all of that. So without going into like a huge chemistry lesson on the immune system, the basic concept is the immune system fights off foreign invaders, invading organisms, and it promotes protective immunity. So not only is it fighting off, it's sort of promoting so that you don't get sick, but then when you do get sick, your immune system helps you. So it's, vitamin D, something that we talk about with sunlight, is an important part of your innate antimicrobial response system. So your innate antimicrobial response system identifies pathogens and works on killing those pathogens. That's what your innate immune system does, and it keeps you from getting sick. You come in contact with these all the time and you don't even get sick because your innate immune system is doing its job. So we know that studies have shown that lower levels of vitamin D have been associated with increased infections. And so getting out in sunlight is going to be like my number one tip for today, knowing that your immune system does that, has this a way to protect you, and knowing that vitamin D plays a key role. Vitamin D is important. So sunlight, getting out in the sun is really important for you. If you stay hunkered in your office space all day from morning to night, you're not getting any vitamin D, you're really not helping yourself from that innate immune system standpoint. And then you've got the system that helps fight off foreign invaders and invading organisms. And that is all, if you listen to any of our talks together, that's all in your gut, right? And so keeping your gut health up is going to be important in that as well. So I think that's a good start, but there's so many more things to do throughout your day. But if you take only one thing out of this, your body it is built into our ecosystem, into the design to have sunlight, and vitamin D is the best way to, and sunlight is the best way to get vitamin D.
It's so funny. I remember growing up as a kid, if I started catching a cold or something, my mom would say, go get out in the sun. And I don't even know if it was a vitamin D thing back then. I just think we knew that being out in the sun, the sun was going to kill the germ. I don't know what it was back then. If it was, I don't think there were any lessons in vitamin D back then, but maybe there were. But I just
remember during the outbreak of tuberculosis, which was like, you're talking like over 100 years ago, they would say, go out and take your morning constitution. What is that? That is to go out and be in the sun. They didn't know exactly that it was vitamin D and that they didn't know the science behind it at that point, but they just knew if I'd send my patients outside to get some sun, they feel better.
So that's what I was going to say. And I knew as I was, in my early adulthood, I knew that if I started, getting a cold or something, that I felt better after I went out in the sun. I didn't know why. I just did.
Yes.
I am a little bit of a sun goddess, but got my vitamin D this weekend.
That's awesome.
I try to cover my face so it doesn't increase the wrinkles.
Very good. Very good. All your doctors are very happy about that. You're protecting your skin,
right?
Which is good, and your eye and your face. That's really good.
Right,
the other thing that I think is a misconception is about cold and flu. So most people know the difference by just when my body hurts, it's a flu. So when you have a cold, it's sort of gradual. It's coming. Like 3 days before, 2 days before, you're like, oh no, here it comes. So that's a cold. A flu is more like abrupt. It's like today I felt good. Tomorrow I woke up and I feel like I'm on the floor. And then it's really rare to get a fever with a cold. You get a fever more with flu, and you get slight aches and pains with the cold, but it's more common to get that with the flu. And then sometimes you're a little tired with a cold, but you're really, really tired when you have a flu. And sometimes you can have a stuffy nose with the flu, but it's really not common. It's more common with a cold. And sore throat is more common with a cold, but it can happen with the flu. So it's important to kind of know the difference so that you don't, especially in this day and age, like I said, so that you don't get worried when you catch something, because we all think it's something really bad and we're still catching good old fashioned colds.
Yes. And so there used to be a saying growing up, starve a cold, feed a fever, or feed a cold, starve a fever. I can't remember which one it was. Which one is it?
So I actually would say it's better to starve a cold is what they typically say, but I would say it's actually better to starve a cold and the flu, either way, to reduce your intake of like real high proteins, and just do like broths, juices, smoothies. And the reason is your body's so busy trying to fight this that the less digestion you need to do, the less energy it needs to spend there, and it can spend somewhere else. Some people do fast with a flu. I have seen that before where people have decided to fast and they feel better quicker. And that's because their body only has to it just has to rest and doesn't have to have any process of digestion.
Okay. So, all right. So let's talk about that. So that's why it's common chicken broth, or, chicken soup for the soul, chicken soup for a cold and flu, right?
Yeah.
It lowers the digestion. You're eating or drinking most of your meal, you're not eating most of your meal.
You're not chewing it and breaking it down. Yeah, right. You're just drinking it. And broth is so great because it extracts all the nutrients from the carrots and the celery and the beets and everything that you put in that broth. It's just so nutritious for you without actually having to digest.
All right, so let's talk about that, because broth, I remember I was using it a lot on one of my gut healing process regimens that I was doing. And is that something we should just go ahead and do every day? Will it help prevent us? Is that one of those things that will help build our immunity?
Yeah, having broth, I used to do this a lot more, and now I take collagen in the form of a protein powder, but I used to drink broth every single day. I'd make a big broth at the beginning of the week, and then I just sip it like coffee. I'd have it in a mug and I'd sip it. People thought I was crazy. They're like, you're just drinking broth. I'm like, it's so good for you. It's so good for your gut. It's so good for the intestinal lining of the gut, especially if you use like chicken bones where you can pull collagen out of it. And it's good for the immune system to have that. But some other things that are really great are like vitamin C. And people think, oh, well, it's a supplement. I take a supplement. You can get vitamin C from your foods. Orange juice, everybody knows that one. But lots of juices that you buy from the store have lots of extra sugar. And so it's better to eat oranges than to buy orange juice, or to juice your own oranges with an orange, with a juicer. I mean, that is the best way, because then you're just getting that juice without having any of the extra sugars and preservatives they do to keep that in. So thinking about like foods that are high in vitamin C is important for your immune system.
That was my juice this morning. I had carrots and oranges and turmeric and ginger and a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Can you give the reason why it's good to add salt to your homemade juice?
Well, what's important about salt is that it's actually, we use salt for sodium for so many biological processes. So if you don't have enough salt, your blood pressure will be very, very low, because it's important to have salt for your heart. If you have too much salt, your blood pressure will be really high, really. So it's important to have a very good amount of sodium in the body, but it's also important the kind of sodium you're using, the kind of salt. So regular table salt is just total garbage. Don't do it. Himalayan pink salt, Celtic sea salt, these are my top two for salt.
Right.
And those get added to juices because sometimes when you're juice fasting, you're not getting enough salt in the process of that. And so that's why you'll see when you're juice fasting, salt is added into the juices so that we can keep the sodium, potassium, and the water levels correct in the body, even though you're just juicing. So juicing is an excellent way to prevent getting sick, but it's also an excellent way that if you do get sick, which is going to happen, we all do catch something, it's okay. Doing the juicing is going to really help you to get through it faster.
And I think I read somewhere that by putting the salt in there, it helps your body absorb the hydration better.
Yes. So salt is like a bus for the water molecule, the H2O molecule. And so sometimes you'll find people, I'll meet with people and they're like, I drink water all day and I'm thirsty. And I'm going to the bathroom all the time. And that just means that the salt is not being absorbed into the body, that the water isn't being absorbed into the body. And so salt will help with the absorption of the water. And so salt, water, and potassium, these three kind of work together really well. And so if you ever feel like a little lightheaded, you're not feeling good, drinking some water with a little sprinkle of salt and eating a half a banana will take care of that for you.
Love it. All right. So let's talk about our choices in the morning. So we get up, we eat breakfast because it's good to eat 3 meals a day, right? I mean, you can fast and your first meal doesn't have to be right when you wake up. Your first meal can be at noon, right?
Yeah, you can do intermittent fasting based on your body type, and fasting is a whole other topic because everybody's a little bit different. We gotta have a whole other show talking about that because everybody's like, oh, I'm gonna fast, and it's not one size fits all. There's actually whole areas of medicine just dedicated to the science of what intermittent fasting can do for you, and it does have some benefits. But when you wake up in the morning, what do we normally do? What does the average American do? They get up in the morning and they make coffee. And I'm not being a coffee hater because I know all you out there love your coffee. And I'm not saying no coffee.
Love your coffee.
No, I don't love coffee.
You used to.
I used to need it so bad. Now I don't need it anymore. But the best thing to do when you wake up in the morning is to have some water with lemon. Just wake up in the morning and have water with lemon. And the more you can have, the better it is, because your liver needs more. Your liver has done a lot throughout the night and your body needs hydration, and it restarts your digestive system. So it's really good to have. And by the way, lemons are an excellent source of vitamin C. So if you're having your lemons and you're having your oranges, or you put it in your juice, you're getting your vitamin C. So having a juice is going to be great after your water, but you can have your juice any point in the day. So some people just have their water and then they'll have coffee, and then later in the day they may have juice. But having that juice during the day is going to be good. And then getting that smoothie in is going to be really important too, because that's going to give you a lot of fruits and vegetables. Yeah, I know. I'm glad you have it. Some other really great sources of vitamin C are spinach, raspberries, cranberries, and peppers. Peppers are full of vitamin C, like chili peppers, cayenne peppers. Those hot peppers are really high in vitamin C. And broccoli is really great in vitamin C. So these are all things, all of those foods, except for maybe the peppers, maybe those you add to other things, but all of those foods can be added in your smoothie. You can make a cran, raspberry, spinach with some lemon smoothie, and then there's your immunity booster.
And they're delicious.
It's delicious, and you're still getting tons of vitamin C. And then you take it, and you go sit outside, get some sunlight, so you can get your vitamin C and your vitamin D all at the same time.
Yeah. I like it. So then, okay, so that's a typical breakfast. So lunch, some people don't want to drink their meals.
That's
I'm
true.
not going to call my brother out, but my brother's like, I'm not going to drink my meals.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to. You can eat, if you're eating foods that are growing towards the sun, as your plate looks like, oh, it has more fruit or vegetable on it than it has protein, then you have a good ratio for lunch. Or adding, so let's say you didn't get the smoothie in, but having a spinach salad with some raspberries on top or some apples, and then you can add in some cashew goat cheese on top, and that's a beautiful salad right there. Great lunch. And you're getting omegas from the nuts, your fatty acids for your brain, you're getting the vitamins that you need from the spinach, you're getting the vitamins you need from the raspberries. I mean, it's a delicious meal right there. It's really good. And if you top it with some olive oil, cold pressed olive oil, oh my goodness, that is so great for your heart. It's got high in ALA, so it's really good for the heart, really good for the brain. And that's a great meal right there for lunch. And then if you wanted to add protein, you could. I'm not anti-protein. So if you wanted to add some protein on the side, maybe some fish or some chicken, you can add that on the side. But I always say wild caught fish and organic free-range chicken are going to be the better choices for you.
Yum. And then dinner can be a vegetable and protein, or a couple of vegetables, 2 or 3 vegetables. I was always taught color on your plate. How many colors are on your plate?
Yeah, or a soup. You could do a soup, which would be really great, and have a side. And then maybe you make yourself some avocado chocolate cacao ice cream, so that you get really great folic acid from your avocado. And maybe you mix it up with some strawberry. I mean, you could do so many things with plants to be plant-based that doesn't have to be, I'm having just a salad with tomato, and it can be so much more than that.
Fun.
It can be fun, especially when you start making all these different nut cheeses that we're going to make.
We're going to do this soon. I can't wait. All right. So to sum it up, when we have a choice in the morning and at lunch and at dinner time and snack time as well, if you're making the healthy choice, because you know what the difference is between healthy and non-healthy. And the secret, I can tell you my secret. My secret is, if I don't buy it, I won't eat it. If it's not in the house, but I can tell you what, I don't use my microwave, but there's a microwave built into my place. And I use my microwave for storage of my saran wrap and aluminum foil. But every once in a while, there's chips in there, just because, if we do have somebody who lives in the house that does like his chips and crackers. But we also, if we have guests, they like that. So I do serve those, which I know it's a no-no. If I'm not supposed to eat it myself, I shouldn't serve it to the people I love, but they are in the house, and I don't have to have it. I don't need it. I don't even go in there. I don't even look at it, but that's because I have disciplined myself to not go that way. And I don't want it as much,
Yeah. And like you were saying, there's a lot of scared people out there, right? With, scared about what's going on in the world and what's happening. And so, like, what can I do every day? Well, instead of being scared, I can move fear aside, and I can say, I'm going to take positive steps. Maybe I'm going to have that juice, or I'm going to have that smoothie, or I'm going to make few good positive choices today. I'm going to avoid diet soda. You know how I feel about diet soda. It's like,
Oh,
there's
that's
nothing,
a whole nother show too.
there's nothing worse than you could do for your immune system than drinking diet soda.
Right.
If you're making good choices and avoiding the pitfalls of the bad choices, you're really going to boost your own innate immune system, and you're going to make it so that you have more energy, better bowel movements, clear, not so, you have not any foggy brain, a clear way of thought, and you're not going to get sick,
Exactly.
Now, we all get sick, right? We all get something, but the idea is get it out, get it over with, and that in itself also builds up your immunity. So doing too much antimicrobial, doing
Mhm.
too much of the overwashing of the hands or overusing of the sanitizer is not good either. We can't keep ourselves in a bubble. We need to come in contact with those microbes because we work synergistically with them. So it's important to, yes, of course, I want you to wash your vegetables, I want you to wash your hands, but let's not live in fear. Let's make some good choices so that we don't have to live in fear.
Make better choices, have less fear.
Yes.
Well,
exactly.
and the thing is that people say that I've heard some people say, well, eating organically, eating more vegetables and fruit, eating healthy costs more. But I'm going to tell you what costs more than eating healthy. Getting sick and going to the doctor, or going to the hospital. That's all more expensive than eating healthy. And that's been a lesson that I've learned. I remember when a nutritionist told me, you should be eating organic. I'm like, do you know how expensive that is? Because I was feeding my whole family. I was taking care of my mom and dad at the time. I'm like, do you know how expensive that is? And she's like, well, why would you feed them something that you wouldn't feed yourself? You said you love these people, right?
You like them, right? You like them. Okay, so feed them good food. It was tough in the beginning too. Everything that is change is always going to be hard. If we were eating organically for the last 50 years, we wouldn't think of it as a big deal. We'd be like, oh, well, that's just the way that we eat.
It's true.
We wouldn't worry about it, And if we didn't have so much processed and frozen foods and they were just inventing them now, we would think, what is this weird thing?
Exactly. It's really not that big a deal. Just go do it.
Yes.
Here's my message. Take your health into your own hands. Be as healthy as you can be. Make wise choices. Eat healthy versus less healthy. Have that cheat day. But you know what? Take your life and your well-being into your own hands is my message.
I love that.
Yes.
I love that.
To go because we got things to do, places to go, and people to see. So women have needs too. Right now, I need to build my immunity, boost it up. Have a great day. Stay inspired and stay empowered. Thank you, Dr. Michelle. Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome.